no popcorn bucket for this one.
No, but free poster.
Free poster. Maybe his finger opens up and there's popcorn in there, something like that.
I guess I could have done that with my popcorn.
No, it's like, it's a little girl, you take the face off, it's Frank Drebin, and then you take it off again, there's the popcorn. That'd be a good popcorn bucket.
That was pretty much the Megan 2 bucket.
Oh, that's true, that's right.
They
could just recycle it because nobody saw Megan 2.
They still have Karate Kid Legends ones in there.
That's hilarious.
I was tempted. Like maybe next week. Like if it's 75% off next to the Smurf House bucket.
I'll wait for the 90% off. And I still won't see the movie.
Oh, that's right. Neither of us can see that.
Yeah.
I'll catch it on Netflix.
I didn't even finish Cobra Kai. So I'm like, what do I care what happens to this movie?
This almost has a scene from Cobra Kai in it, sort of like when Paul Walter Hauser was beating the shit out of the kids in the second season.
That's true.
Cobra Kai. I'm like, he's still got it. He's back. I thought this movie was hilarious.
I thought it was a pretty good time.
Yeah.
It's one of those films where as soon as I heard they were rebooting it, I'm like, oh, come on. Then I heard Liam Neeson. I went,
yeah.
All right. I said, that's a smart casting choice because... Well, you know, and I like him as an actor, but he does have this kind of monotone every once in a while that the film I noticed it the most is probably Batman Begins, where there's a certain way he talks, and it's always like this. Yeah. And especially with Nolan's editing, where it jumps around so much when you just hear that so consistently.
Yeah.
You know, you need to learn this. They need to learn that. Cut to a different scene. Who's that? He was a farmer. He went in blah, blah, blah. You know, there's something about those beats where it starts to become a little... comical.
Yeah.
Even though I do like him, I think he's a good actor, and he has done comedy before a couple times. But both him and the filmmakers of this get the idea that what made the Naked Gun movies so funny is that all the people in it, even though they're doing ridiculous things, they're still treating it seriously. They're not winking too hard to the camera, and this film is shot very much like a contemporary thriller, cop film, mystery, action flick. And, you know, like one that's trying to take it so seriously, and not every scene has to go for a punchline, has to go for a joke. So they will have some scenes that just end like a normal scene, like a normal thriller. So when they do slip in those lines, and they say it just as seriously as they would say any other serious line, it's really, really funny, and it's very unexpected. Even though you know it's a comedy, there's a lot of these coming, but they'll just slip them in, for the most part, at just the right time.
And it'll take you a second, too, because it's delivered so straight.
Yeah.
And the movie is produced by Seth MacFarlane, who's had Liam Neeson parody himself before, like in Ted 2 and 8 Million Ways to Die in the West. This a lot more successfully than those. Well,
so he only produced this one, right?
Yeah, he
didn't
just
direct or write it or anything like that. There are some jokes that are definitely very Family Guy. There's one in particular that it didn't make me laugh, but I'm sure it's gonna like get some people laughing. With the snowman.
Okay. I appreciated that this movie turned into Jack Frost for like 5 minutes.
No, it's one of those things where it's like, I bet this was hilarious in writing, in execution. I'm like, this isn't working for me, but I can see it kind of being like the dance number in Young Frankenstein, where it's like, is that really that funny? Not super funny, but it gives it an identity. It sets it apart from other, it makes it its own, where everything else you could be like, well, yeah, this is just a satire of modern movies, or, you know, when it's not, to send up to the original Naked Gun movies. And there are some fun callbacks in here. You know, they have Weird Al in there. Sean Presley again was kind of cool. They even, obviously. They even had the beaver from the first movie.
I know. I really like
and
that.
it's not like they focus in on it. It's just something where it walks by and you could miss it. And I like that. You just have to notice it. The movie doesn't stop to show you this and be like, what was that about? Or make an obvious joke. It's just, if you know it, that's a funny little Easter egg in there.
I agree. And it is very much, I mean, you can tell how much they love the other movies, because it is one of those comedies where you can watch it a ton more times and pick up something in the background, pick up just like a little sight gag that might be off in the distance somewhere, or maybe a line that you might have missed beforehand. What it does really well, and what the other ones did too, is the jokes, they come in so fast, that maybe if there's one that doesn't land, there's one not that long after that does. And not only that, there might be one that at first maybe I didn't chuckle at, but it builds to where it gets a really, really good laugh.
Mm-hmm. It's paced pretty well for the most part. Honestly, the only... Because I agree with you about the joke. There are jokes in this movie that either don't work or maybe a little too dad jokey, but you acknowledge that's kind of the original. You know, you can't give it a little bit of a pass. But the only two complaints I have about and they're almost the exact same thing the more I think about it, is that some of the scenes, like there's an okay joke, but you think it's building to something else and it doesn't always. And I'm like, oh, you needed one more topper there. You needed one more thing there. And that ties into the second problem, which is the climax of this movie. Even though there's still laughs in it, it's not as strong as it should be. That probably the best part of all the Naked Gun movies is usually the third act, the climax of the movie, where just everything's building to some crazy something going on. And this, it gets weird, it gets odd, but compared to everything else in the movie, I'm like, I thought I'd be laughing more at that. I thought I'd be having more kind of belly laughs in the last third of this, but there's still laughs. There's still stuff that really works in it. And again, because so much of it is played straight and acted straight, when those moments do come, they're especially funny. Yeah. And like you said, sometimes it even takes you a second. You kind of miss like, oh, wait, what they just said makes no sense. Or it's a satire, what people usually say in this situation. Yeah, and the running gags were still landing too. Every time they kept introducing coffee cups into it. And Liam Neeson keeps making references to stuff from 2003. That was one where that's a really good example of like a joke that I thought, really, movie? And then they turned it into something. And it was in almost the following lines where it was, what was it? He's talking about something and he says, I'm sorry, I just couldn't get over the Janet Jackson conspiracy at the Super Bowl. And she goes, that was 20 years ago. He says, not for me. And he said it's so serious. And I'm like, Janet, just Super Bowl. What? And then they reference it. I'm like, all right, at least they're referencing. And then the way he said, not for me. Was so pitch perfect. It made it work. It did. There's a lot of stuff like that where it's like, if you look at that joke on paper, I would be like, I don't know how that's going to work, but it's delivered so damn well. There's a few jokes where I'm thinking, and vice versa. Like I said, the snowman thing, I bet written is hilarious. It just didn't quite pan out for me. But vice versa, there's some where, it's like, boy, that joke wouldn't work. Or maybe there's a few too many of these, kind of, a little too old school jokes, hey, let's modernize these a little bit. And some don't hit, but others, I mean, like I said, just the dedication that they have really gets a good laugh out of you. And I really appreciated the snowman thing because I have to review so many movies like that between all those Jagged Edge movies, like, oh, now they're being hunted by Humpty Dumpty or something like that. So for me, I see what you're saying, but like for me, I was kind of like, I review so many movies like this. I really appreciate this. No, it's not like I was watching, oh, this is awful, right? It's more like, I know what you're trying to do. It's just, it didn't quite connect. But that's the thing about the movie too, where you brought up before about how if a joke doesn't land, they are throwing them so quickly, and they do not dwell on them. They don't let the camera hang there too long. They're very quick to move on to the next thing, which is nice. It's not like we'll wait for the audience to laugh at it. No, they're just on to the next thing, and that's I guess you could say the other sucker movies kind of did that, but this one's doing it a little quicker, and I think they know it's a more modern movie. Even the opening is actually very stylized, and the movie actually doesn't look bad. It's not a bad-looking movie. So again, when they say these weird lines or have these weird visuals, it gets a bigger laugh because everyone's still in the mood of like a traditional big budget, gritty thriller.
Yeah.
So it does, even though you're watching a comedy, they're just so decky, it does catch you off guard, and it does get the laughs going a little bit more, and they mix up the jokes just enough too where, it's not always the exact same type of joke over and over. They'll mix it up. Some's dialogue, some's a visual gag, some's a satire of other movies, some's more of a character joke. They will mix it up. And yeah, I mean, I think everyone's at some point going to bring up like, the, was it Seltzer Freeberg movies, because I mean, a lot of people say that's what killed these type of movies for years and years. And it's nice to have one back, and it's nice to have one done well and really understand that you do need a story, you do need characters, that they don't have to be like fully fleshed out characters. The bare minimum, they need to be believable archetypes. Like this is an archetype that would be in a thriller, and you need to believe that, and not just here's a joke, here's something you remember. So it is nice to not only see that, but see it done pretty well. And I do think it's smart that they didn't just do one, just a new series, a new something. You could call this whatever you want. It doesn't have to be Naked Gun or whatever. You could technically just have this be a cop thriller with Liam Neeson acting silly or whatever. But when you have Naked Gun in there, it not only sets you up immediately for what this is, and, you're going to like the callbacks and everything, but when something doesn't work, you can say, well, that's a nice little tip of the hat to the original old school one, which is like, 30, 40 years old, something like that.
89.
Yeah. So, close to 40. So, I enjoy it.
And also just it being really nice that there is this kind of comedy in the theater, and one that is, I thought, just really hysterical, and seeing it with a crowd.
The crowd was having fun. Some of them, there were people going into this, like when the picture of not Liam Neeson, the other Leslie Nielsen, pops up. I mean, there's a woo, like there was like applause for him, and that's kind of cool. It's cool seeing people applaud for Leslie Nielsen.
I was waiting to see if they were going to applaud for OJ. Picture popped up.
Yeah, that's right, because then the other guy, the guy who played Ed, popped out to be like, oh, yeah, and then just OJ pops up.
Yeah, and I hope this movie does do really well. And, certainly, like, it's fun seeing Liam Neeson kind of parody that type of character that he usually plays. But also, Danny Huston was having a lot of fun in this, too. Very much parodying a Danny Huston type villain, the type of character that he plays 90% of the time I see him in something. That was cool.
It's nice seeing Pamela Anderson do something that's also... I didn't see, what was it, the last show? Yeah, so I know she's trying to do some different stuff. And, she's never been my thing, personally, but I get the camp. I get the, what's funny about, like, Baywatch and all the hokey shows she was in and stuff. And, whenever she's done, like, interviews or something, like, she seems super sweet and everything. It's always like, oh, yeah, I want to root for her in something. And, she plays this pretty well. There's a lot of moments in this where she did remind me a lot of, was it Priscilla?
Priscilla Presley.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of her. And she makes a little cameo in this, too, which is nice to see. And, like I said, I definitely can't say every joke works, but I think the movie's almost designed not to have every joke work, and it could also be a joke that doesn't work for me that might work for somebody else. For the most part, I thought it came through pretty well. And it's also nice going into a movie like this where once they set up that they know how to do this, and they know how to do this pretty well and get some good laughs, it's hard to say, but as a critic, you're not gonna have to pay too much attention to the story, to the character. Does this work? Does this not work? It's just doesn't make you laugh. Roger Ebert used to say these movies are critic-proof, review-proof. You can't review. I disagree. I don't think that's true, because there is a wrong way to do this. We've seen that with, like the Seltzer Freeberg movies. but I know what he's talking about, where you can go in and not necessarily critique the story, you know, or the character. This doesn't make sense. There was even one point where a character gets, well, it doesn't matter. Spoilers, who cares? You know, case in point, where Frank Drebin gets in a self-driving car that the villain gives him, and for a split second I thought to myself, oh, you idiot, the bad guy gave you that. It's like, oh wait, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter in a movie like this. Yeah. And again, that's kind of a testament to it, because it still plays it so straight as like a thriller that I am still in that mode a little bit. I think it also shows how long it's been since I've seen a movie like this, or at least seen it done well. And it is nice. It is refreshing. I'm with you. I hope it does well so that it does get other movies like this going again, so we can destroy them again with another Dave movie, or whatever.
I would have loved it if you were sitting there in the scene where he gets framed and you just out loud went, "Don't pick up that knife."
Stupid. Who wrote this?
God, what an idiot. Can't even drive. No, in terms of the story, though, what's funny about that, the villain and his plan and everything, is that it's not the same type of plan, but it's sort of the same ballpark of the same type of villains that I've seen a couple of times this year. One in Megan 2, the other in the recent Mission Impossible. This movie I thought was better than both of those. They got it right with this one.
I also like it was really short.
It's like 80-some minutes long.
Very short. When we got to the third act, I was like, we're here already? Wow, okay. And again, I think that's kind of a good complaint to say. You know, I could have used a little more. I could have actually had it been a little longer. I get the feeling some scenes were cut. And again, who cares about story or whatever, but the way this movie works, I mean, there's a scene where they got, you know, and they got Pamela Anderson, and they say, you know, tie her up, leave her, and then, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then just later in the movie, she shows up on a motorcycle. I'm like, did we even see her get away? Did we even see her blah, blah, blah? And again, in any other movie, that'd be a problem.
Yeah.
In this one, it's not a problem. But again, I think it shows how much it still does treat itself kind of seriously, because they usually would show something like that. Like I said, when the bad guy says a line, I think it's time we send, you know, Frank Drebin the gift. There doesn't have to be a punchline after that. They can just leave that scene as is, because then you don't always know exactly where the punchlines are coming, so you're not always expecting it at the end of a moment. So it does keep you on your toes a little bit more.
What grade would you give it?
Boy, it's hard. Because if I say, like, you know, an A, people are going to think, oh, it's a 4-star movie. No, it's not bad, but for what it is, I mean, it's done pretty well. I guess, like, somewhere between, like, an A- and a B+ for what it was.
I would give it an A-, for sure. Again, like I said, it's just... it's nice talking about a really good comedy in one of these. The last one was, especially with a packed house, the last one was me and Rob at Smurfs, with 3 other people in there. It was as sad as watching Sophie's Choice in the theater. Like, just...
Sophie Smurf.
Yeah.
Which one do you Smurf? Smurf, take my Smurf.
See?
Oh my God.
Instantly made that movie way better than what that was.
It made Sophie's Choice so much worse.
The best thing to come out of the Smurfs movie was Rob's monologue in the review about it killing his soul.
I rewound that a couple times. That was pretty fun.
Oh, yeah. Check that one out before you see the Smurfs movie.
Yeah. Don't see the Smurfs.
Oh, but don't go
I
see
haven't
it.
seen it, but don't see it.
It's not good.
Yeah.
What's next week?
I actually have an advanced screening for Weapons. Actually, I'm pretty excited for it. Yeah. So yeah, I'll probably have a few days in between, but I'm sure I'll want to. I love that guy's movies.
I do.
Yeah. No, I'm really excited to see that. Unless you want to watch Bad Guys 2.
Have you seen Bad Guys 2?
No.
Oh, I didn't know if you went to go see it.
I'll probably stream it.
Oh, right on. I like the first Bad Guys.
Yeah, no, I know. I want to see this one more.
Same. So last week, when we were talking about what was coming up next weekend, and I was asking you what you were seeing, I thought it was maybe gonna be Bad Guys 2, but in my head, I was like, I hope he's seeing naked guys. Even though I don't know what the reviews of Bad Guys 2 are like. But
I don't know either. It looked fine. It didn't look anything wrong with it. It's just I was so much more curious about that. I can see Bad Guys 2 being fine. Again, this I was like, this is either gonna be pretty damn funny or just awful.
And either way, I'm in.
Yeah, I'm way too curious. I gotta know.
See you next week.
Bye.